It's back to what we're expecting to be a bit of a fast and furious session.
It will be. Good afternoon, Harry, everyone listening at home. I think it's going to be a great session. We've got all the heavy hitters with confidence, with good cars and good conditions heading into qualifying. Blue skies up above. The risk of rain was 30% this morning, but that has now gone away, Harry. And the track temperature has crept up to nearly 38 degrees. So that's a good chunk hotter than it was this morning.
And we think it is going to be super competitive, particularly when we get into that fight for pole position. And already, what is a crucial factor around this circuit, as you just saw there, the cars lining up well in advance of the green light, which should be going on anytime soon, in a couple of minutes actually. Track position around here, Karun, so important for your qualifying.
And we're seeing the teams lining up 2 by 2, aren't they? You know, they're heading out of Noah's Ark sort of formation there, because the slipstream effect is powerful around here. When you come out of turn 16 and run along the Caspian Sea up to the timing line, it's 2.2 kilometers up to turn 1. And the slipstream can gain you free lap time of a couple of tenths, maybe even up to a quarter of a second. So I'll be interested to see what Red Bull do to help Max Verstappen. Do they use Sergio Perez, a resurgent Sergio Perez, to help Max Verstappen with the slipstream? And do McLaren do that with Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris in terms of the World Championship battle?
But what about that man there as well, Charles Leclerc, who has been on pole position here for 3 years on the trot consecutively and has been going quickly as well all weekend long, even despite the crash in Friday, still managed to top FP2. George Russell topped FP3 a little earlier on too. So Leclerc, this really is one of his tracks, isn't it?
Yeah, in pole position last 3 times we've been here. He hasn't won, of course. He's had 3 poles, and in fact Ferrari have had pole position here but not won. Red Bull have won here but never had pole position. So it is a track where, of course, you have to qualify up front. You want to qualify up front, but not so much in terms of the track position that it gains you at the end, because actually overtaking is possible and quite easily possible around here. But in terms of keeping you safe on the opening lap, because we've seen lots of incidents, and actually further forward you qualify, the safer it is for you. Ollie Behrman, nice to see him out heading straight away there, you know, after that incident in FP3.
Absolutely, and trying to squeeze his way into the fast lane of the pit lane. There is the championship standings on the side of the screen that you can see. 62 points separating Max Verstappen and Lando Norris in the Drivers' and the Constructors' Championship. Also tight as well. A 3-way battle, really, between Red Bull, McLaren and Ferrari. Round 17 here in Baku is going to be absolutely crucial, and we are only a few minutes away from the fastest lap time so far this weekend. Well, as the green light goes on at the end of the pit lane to get qualifying started, a big welcome to our viewers on Sky Sports main event, and to those with us as well on Sky Sports F1. We are underway then, 80 minutes, and already counting down, where we will try and eliminate the slowest 5 drivers come the end of this session. We've spoken about it before. Toe, track position, so crucial around this track, Ted, as they head out. The sun shining. It's going to be a frenetic session.
Oh, it is. Always a good one, Harry. Yeah, looking forward to this one. Now, just past me in the pit lane comes the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc, and don't worry, everybody, about that alleged not slowing slowing enough for yellow flags earlier. It's just a reprimand. He did actually not slow enough, but they've concluded, the stewards, that he was unsighted, he was already braking, and if he'd braked a bit more, there would have been an accident. If he'd slowed down even more, then it would have been even more dangerous. So no grid penalty for Charles Leclerc, just a reprimand for not slowing enough under the yellow flags in free practice 3. The other bit of news I can tell you, Zhou Guanyu has to start from the back of the grid tomorrow. The Esteban Ocon reason he conked out earlier was due to a faulty fuel pump, but other than that, we're all ready to go. 20 drivers out there. Behrman's car is ready, and yeah, we're looking forward to a frenetic qualifying session.
Top two Mercedes out on the medium tyre straight away. They've run a different allocation all weekend long. They ran the hard tyre in free practice yesterday. Now every team gets 2 sets of the hard tyre coming into the weekend. They obviously have ended up with 1 less of the hard tyre carrying into the race and an extra set of the mediums. They've chosen to burn that set of mediums up here in Q1.
Well, already out on track, then trying to build up tyre temperature, trying to find that all-important, crucial space on the track to go qualifying in and set your fastest lap that you can do. And by the way, you can ride on board with any of the drivers in every session this season and listen in on their team radio as well. To get started, all you need to do is download the Sky Sports app to your phone or tablet device, log in with your Sky ID and head to the Sky Sports F1 channel to choose your driver. Sky Glass, Sky Q and Sky Stream customers, you can also access this experience via the interactive button on your remote control and ride on board, Karun, like now with George Russell into turn 1.
He picked up a distant tow from Daniel Ricciardo there, all the way down the start-finish straight. So, but you can see him just weaving around, Harry, coming out of turn 1, which suggests that the front tyres are still not up to the working temperature he would like. He's not getting the bite that he would like there. Again, weaving, and that's not unsurprising on the medium compound tyres. It does take a couple of laps. So we'll switch to his teammate. I think that is coming through, Lewis Hamilton. And beautiful sunlight here in the evening, just gone 4 o'clock local time here in Baku. Hamilton coming up, and he starts his lap also on the medium tyres, but it looks like he's also going for a prep lap rather than a push straight away. Well,
of course, as the sun was getting lower yesterday, Max Verstappen wasn't happy with his visor choice, complaining about visibility, so that will be something to watch as the Williams car of Franco Colapinto comes through on Lewis Hamilton, who just gets nicely out of the way to allow Colapinto on his way back in his second race weekend, as we now go on board with the reigning champion Verstappen, starting a lap on that soft tyre, making his way through turn 1 and then turn 2.
This is a good chance for us to have a look at this circuit there. As you can see, 90-degree corners predominantly around the circuit. Short, sharp corners, braking in a straight line as well. Look at this, up into 3. Turn it in, get close to the wall. Just bring the car back to the left-hand side. It is a bit dusty there. You don't want to get too close to the wall on the way in. It caught out Colapinto yesterday. Verstappen now heads up towards the first sector. 36.7, very competitive at this stage of the session on the soft tyre straight away for the Red Bull. Now the narrow part of the track, heading through, Harry, this section here is unbelievably narrow, isn't it? In contrast to the start-finish straight.
From one extreme to another.
You know, it's just absolutely bonkers. But Sergio Perez going very well in the first sector as well. 3/10 up on Verstappen's time.
Yeah, Perez, who seems to, along with the team, refound their mojo so far this weekend. Perez is fastest in the first sector. Max Verstappen, though, making his way through the left-hander of 15 towards 16, and then will shoot out down that long back straight to the start-finish line. Well, it's a straight with a few kinks in it as well, getting over 2.2 kilometers of running. Has he got anybody in front of him to give him a little bit of a tow as well? He does. He has got Hamilton as the car in front of him, so this should help Verstappen, who will also get the aid of the DRS. There is Hamilton coming through now as Colapinto goes to the top of the timings in these early stages. What can Verstappen do across the line for his first proper time? A 1:43.644. It's good, but his teammate Sergio Perez is going quicker by over 0.2 of a second in these early stages. The man who is the most successful around this circuit, who has been fighting for his career over the last course of this season, goes to the top of the times. It's still early stages in Q1, a 1:43.4, but that is positive momentum for Sergio Perez.
So that straight line speed that Verstappen picked up by following Hamilton, worth 4 kilometers an hour, and in terms of lap time, just over a tenth compared to Perez.
Charles Leclerc, fastest of anybody in the middle sector. And we talk about Baku specialists. You can't forget Leclerc. He goes second fastest, so not quite as good as Perez.
Good effort from Colapinto. First run in Q1 and ahead of Alex Albon. So that is a very strong effort. Piastri goes fourth in a car that really, so far this weekend, you'd have to say, he's looked the more comfortable of the two McLaren drivers. And once again on this first run, only half a tenth, but still ahead of Norris.
And crucially bouncing back from that big incident in practice on Friday, only in his second ever Formula One race weekend to come to a track that he's never been at.
Yeah, it was Oscar Piastri I was mentioning there that was being ahead of Norris. Yeah.
Sorry. But the Piastri and Norris, I tell you what, was fastest in the final sector, just going up into fifth spot ahead of Colapinto. Then comes Albon, the two Williams drivers. And talk of Colapinto, that was a little bit close for comfort coming through the left-hander of turn 15. We've seen many a driver come close. Indeed, Carlos Sainz decides he'll just cut the corner instead.
So let's have a look here. It's very good. Was he trying to get out of the way of somebody? That's a very odd thing to do, because it didn't look like he was about to run wide or into the barrier. We'll see. Anyway, he's on another lap now. He's got the Sauber of Valtteri Bottas ahead of him.
Yeah, the car's jumping around like crazy on the rear exit.
Okay, copy.
Oh, a bit of a wiggle there for Sainz on what is normally a comfortably flat-out kink, but the rear of the car did not look settled. We'll see as he drops downhill. Now Leclerc, he could pick up a cheeky toe here to start his next lap. Sainz's middle sector 42.0 down on what we've seen from Leclerc by 0.3.
Well, 10 minutes left to go. Sainz fastest of anybody in the first sector. Decent in the middle sector. Leclerc then lining up for another lap behind him. Let's see where this puts Carlos Sainz, who, well, his teammate may go well around here. Sainz never actually has out-qualified a teammate here. Highest qualifying of fourth back in 2023 and the year before, but a good opening effort from the Spaniard to go second fastest, and then runs a little bit deep going through into turn one. Momentary yellow flag for that. Perez still fastest though, a little bit further back in the pack. Big battle in the midfield to watch out for. RB versus Haas, only a handful of points between them, and Tsunoda, who we ride on board with, is going to be getting a lovely tow from Oscar Piastri across the line. It's enough to get him up to 11th, 8 tenths off behind the two Williams cars. Let's see what Ollie Behrman can do, rebuilding that confidence as well after the crash in turn one.
Alex Albon's gone a 7th fastest. Colapinto still hanging on to the top 10. Tsunoda, he's a bit of a Baku specialist, Tsunoda, isn't he? You know, the last 3 years he's qualified in the top 8, and that team in general has been competitive around here. Gasly, remember, finished 3rd in 21, 5th in 2022. So the RB team have history here, but it's not gone well for them in recent run. Colapinto, 3rd fastest. What a lap.
He is absolutely flying out there, Franco Colapinto. Let's just see what Ollie Behrman's got across the line and what he can do. Slots himself up into 11th as he builds back up, but a decent opening effort there from Ollie Behrman. Piastri on a lap at the moment, 8 minutes just over that remaining of Q1. So let's head over to Sky Race Control. Bernie Collins.
Hello, Harry. So we just noted there that Leclerc had to abort that first lap. Then we thought got the lovely tow from Carlos Sainz down to turn one. But that momentary yellow flag, as short as it was, that disabled DRS. So Leclerc hasn't been able to push again. Going to have to go for another one next time round. So lots of laps being thrown away at this stage.
Thanks, Bernie. As Verstappen saying, I'm absolutely nowhere. Where is Verstappen at the moment? 2 tenths of his teammate on their opening laps. Well, Piastri and Norris trying to find more time too.
Yeah, he done another push lap, Verstappen. It was 3 tenths down on himself in the first 2 sectors, let alone on his teammates. So Piastri's middle sector wasn't an improvement, whereas Norris has improved. We'll see if the last sector is any better. No, so Piastri moves up in position, but I think Norris might just jump ahead of him here. We'll see as he comes up to the timing line, and he does jump slightly ahead of him.
So at the moment, at risk then, it's, well, George Russell, who is now on an outlap because Ocon has just crossed the line, having lost pretty much all of his running in free practice 3, back out there. So Russell needs to go again. So too does Valtteri Bottas as the Williams just taps the wall. And was that Colapinto who is pushing hard out there, and it's showing in the times, but he's got to be careful.
But the team won't mind now, because this is the time to push. This is qualifying. This is the time to push. Of course, they've got a car capable of getting into Q3. Is a big slide there for Ollie Behrman. But, you know, he's done a fantastic job. And that's why the team have got him. Got a yellow flag, Harry, in Sector 1.
Carlos Sainz potentially down at turn 2.
It's double yellow, yep. There he is, reversing back out of the runoff area at turn 2. So they're all doing multiple laps on that first set of time. We saw in free practice as well that they were able to do the time, you know, not necessarily just on the first lap. The tyres still have performance. Leclerc faster than anyone in the first sector. Perez improving and faster than anyone in the middle sector on this lap.
Russell's finding time as well, but he's all the way down in 17th now, putting on that soft tyre. Bottas also currently down in 18th along with Ricciardo and Zhou Guanyu. I'm not sure we'll see that much running from Zhou Guanyu. As Ted said right at the start of the show, he'll have to be starting from the back of the grid with changes to his PU elements.
Perez going even faster, extending his gap at the top of the field, as we see in the top right corner, a replay of Sainz running wide. Russell on a lap here as Leclerc. Wow! Half a second up on Sergio Perez. Bernie, we're watching George Russell come out of the final corner. What have you got?
Yeah, I was just going to say, you noted on Perez and Leclerc, they're fastest in first and second sector. You said they had a lovely gap through that section, which is what we know. We know a toe doesn't work in those sections of the track, but Leclerc just a little bit luckier in that final sector, and that's made all the difference there across those two drivers.
Russell fastest in the middle sector and got, I think, a lovely bit of toe down the main straight, pops his Mercedes up into second, gets a little bit closer to Charles Leclerc, but still over 3/10 away. What about his teammate though, Lewis Hamilton, who has been beaten by Russell in qualifying so far this season and has struggled, and he's not finding time compared to Leclerc.
Yeah, the car just didn't look as settled over the crest and the crown of the road. Under braking to 15, it just didn't look like Lewis had the confidence to attack the entry there under braking. And so far, in terms of lap times, we'll see as he comes up to the line. But the sector's, yeah, 43.4 down, isn't it? He's 3/10 down to Russell. I mean, Leclerc once again underlining just what a master of qualifying he is around here.
Just to come in on Leclerc, if I may, Leclerc's only after saying on radio, that's not a good lap, so be careful with track evolution. So Leclerc obviously doesn't feel like he's got it all together, despite us celebrating what's on the timesheet.
That is something to absolutely watch out for. Track evolution. It's been dusty all weekend so far. You could even see, as we watch Ricciardo, still bits of foliage, bits of leaves being kicked up around the circuit. So constantly improving with the more running we do. Some parts of this track covered in shade, others in the blistering heat of the sunshine. So there's so many challenges this Baku circuit provides.
So the cars are all coming to the pits, and Bernie, I'd love to get your take on it. So what do you think is a safe point? Because surely Leclerc, Russell, Perez, they're not going to go again, are they?
Yeah, but it's such useful information for the pit wall. You can look at that and you can say average track improvement is 6/10. You can look 6/10 down the timesheet and see how safe you are. That's roughly what they'll be doing on the pit wall now. It's so important that your driver says, even I feel I could go faster on that lap, so allow more than your standard track improvement. They were debating if they should box or not, and now he said, if you're happy with the lap time, I'm happy. But he's given the pit wall that crucial bit of information that the track improvement might be more than what they've calculated.
I'm going to put you on the spot. If you were on the McLaren pit wall, what would you do with Norris and Piastri? Because they're 8/10 away from Leclerc's time at the moment.
8/10 away from Leclerc's time, but what's important is what's further back. How far away are they from the cut-off P15? And let me do some quick math.
7/10.
7/10. So I would run those again because I don't think that's safe enough.
Okay.
Ted, what do you reckon?
She's always right, isn't she? Because that's exactly what McLaren have done. They've sent Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris out again on the same set of tyres, so they don't think they need to burn through a new set of softs, but both McLarens have rejoined the track. And I think if you can do a 43.8, 43.7, 43.8, which is about where Piastri, well, it's about where Albon is now. He's on a 43.9, then that should be okay when it shakes out. Anything from a 44 onwards or slower, I think you're going to be in danger. But yeah, not so bad lap from Ricciardo there. He's a 43.5. That should see him through.
Not bad from Ricciardo. Pretty spectacular from his teammate Yuki Tsunoda, who's just popped up into fourth, and the two Saubers working together as well to provide each other a tow. Joe is condemned to the back of the grid, so giving a tow to his teammate Valtteri Bottas, and with that slides himself up into the top 10 with 2 minutes left on the clock.
That tow was worth 9 kilometers an hour in the last sector for Valtteri Bottas, a monumental straight line speed advantage. But Tsunoda, I think that's an interesting
Surely that's
time.
woken everybody up.
Yeah, because his big gain was in the middle sector. He's gone faster than anyone in the middle sector, which underlines the track evolution that Bernie was talking about. Here comes Max Verstappen winding himself up for his final lap. And Harry, he's down in 12th. Big lap ahead for Max Verstappen.
Let's see what the reigning champ can do. Alonso, Behrman, Stroll, Ocon, Joe Guanyu, all in that elimination zone. Gasly is right on the periphery of it. And then you've got Hülkenberg and Albon. And then, as you say, Karun, Max Verstappen begins what will be his final flying lap, slams onto the brakes, into the left-hander of turn one, and off he goes.
This was the only track last year where Verstappen seemed behind Perez. He just always seems slightly behind, and it's again this whole weekend it's felt like that. We've got a yellow flag in sector 2. This could be a big problem for Verstappen if he gets there and it's still yellow, because he will not be allowed to improve his time. It's gone green. Okay, so we're clear. We'll come back to what the yellow is about later, but in the case of the World Championship leader, at least he will get a chance to do his lap. First sector, a personal best, but nowhere close to what we've seen from the others.
Still over 2 tenths down from Charles Leclerc in the first sector. Is this the reason for the slope? No, it's just an Alpine. That will be a little bit of traffic for Verstappen coming up through that tight and twisty middle sector, up through the castle, hoping that the Alpine ahead of him, which is Esteban Ocon, should be able to get out the way as Albon and Colapinto and the two Williams come across the line to go second and third. They are flying out here, and it might well be last car to start their flying lap. Gets the best conditions as Verstappen pretty much touches the wall. We'll have to get a slow-mo replay of that, but he is pushing so hard round turn 16, and now that long 2.2 kilometer dash, almost slalom-like. He's not finding enough time though to challenge the likes of Charles Leclerc.
And he's got nobody in front of him, no hint of a slipstream in front of him. So Red Bull have put Verstappen into a nice clear gap, which is great for the middle sector. Piastri, the driver risk in 15. Let's see what Verstappen can do on this lap. Third. Okay, so he's safe now. The two McLarens, 14th and 16th. Piastri needs to get a clean run through the final sector. So far, it's looked good. He's come out at 16 fine. And now it is absolutely down to the engine and the horsepower and the lack of drag. Any drag you can take off. Pierre Gasly's gone third fastest. What is going on? The session is... this is not what we expected.
With every lap
in the
that
top
goes
three.
by, yellow flag in sector 3 as well. That's going to scupper some people if it doesn't go their way. Piastri gets himself up into third. Still not as quick as Alex Albon, though. Norris now in that danger zone. Sainz is only 15th too. Lando Norris, personal best. Bottas won't make it through.
Norris is boxing.
Norris isn't going to make it out of Q1. Norris can't do it. He's going to be out of the session. Ricciardo takes the checkered flag. He won't get out either. What about Ocon? Is he going any quicker? I don't think Ocon is either. To try and challenge, Hamilton does cross the line, gets himself up into 5th. But what on earth has happened to Lando Norris and McLaren? Sainz comes across the line. He only goes 12th. The track improving massively with every lap that goes by. But for Lando Norris, boxing on his final lap that season, out of qualifying.
All this talk about is Piastri going to help him, the team orders, all this stuff that was in...
I'm sorry.
Is that team.
That's an apology from the team. Was that in terms of, let's have a look here, this replay. Bernie, we'll come to you in a second. Let's have a look at this. Turn 16. There's a yellow panel flashing there. He got on the exit curb at 16. So there was a scrappy, but there was a panel flashing. And I wonder if the flashing panel there meant he didn't have the use of DRS. There was a scrappy exit there. Bernie, any insight? No, nothing to add from race control. Okay, but I mean, I was just going to fish out. In all of the scripts that we saw, none of it predicted Lando Norris, the challenger for the World Championship, out in Q1.
Well, that's all of the team order scenarios then out of the question. Out of Q1 then, Ricciardo, Norris, Bottas, Joe and Esteban Ocon in the Alpine, 20th and last.
Right, you're through. You are through. Good job, mate.
Q1 done and dusted, and the big name out, this man Lando Norris, 17th fastest, his first Q1 elimination since Las Vegas last year, and that is a big loss for Lando Norris and McLaren. But in other good news, the likes of the Haas driver Oliver Behrman in his second qualifying through into Q2. The relief on in Behrman's voice there after a tough FP3, but he did make it through into Q2 along with his teammate Nico Hülkenberg, the two Williams as well, with outstanding drives to get them through. Just to reiterate then, we've lost Daniel Ricciardo, Lando Norris, the two Saubers of Valtteri Bottas, Joe Guan Yu 19th. He'll have to start last anyway after changes outside of his allocation within his power unit, and Esteban Ocon 20th and last. But Karun, that has changed up the playbook massively. All of this talk about what could happen with team orders, papaya rules, well, that goes out the window now, doesn't it?
Completely. You know, it's they actually. Right, I think before I come to it, Lando Norris, I believe, is in the pen talking to Ted already.
Oh, Lando, so sorry to see you here at this point. It wasn't clear on the footage exactly what happened. We saw you over the exit curb, but we heard Will apologise. The yellow flag. Yeah. So there was actually a light panel, and you had to lift. Right. And the first lap. Where was the car on the first lap?
Yeah, car was good. Yeah, just everyone did their second laps and I didn't, so just unlucky this one.
Okay. We didn't actually see who the yellow flag was for. Was it someone down the road who had already been cleared? You knew at that point that was it.
Yeah, I mean, I have to lift.
Yeah. Okay. What do you think's possible then? It's P17, but heaven knows anything's possible around this track. It's shown today how it can bite you, but there are always possibilities around the next corner in the race.
I mean, I'm going to have to hope so, aren't I? So, yeah. It is what it is, but long race ahead. We have some good tyres in the bank, so yeah, just try to be hopeful and see what we can do tomorrow. I don't know, I've not been thinking of that obviously, so that's what tonight's for. But I'm so hopeful we can get a good result. I think the car's quick. I think the lap I was on, I should have easily gone second. So yeah, a bit frustrating, but nothing I can do.
Okay, well, thanks for talking us through it. Thank you.
It's been a tough weekend already for Lando Norris, but that just pours even more flame into the fire that it's going to be an uphill battle now.
So yeah, I was just trying to work out, because you spotted Ocon going slowly, didn't you? And you wonder whether Williams came out in a rush out of the traffic. We'll see if that is being investigated as unsafe release. Piastri being released into the park.
That was tight. Yeah, Piastri and Colapinto.
Yeah. So, you know, Ocon was moving, wasn't he? But it seems like he was moving so slowly that this yellow flag was sort of going with him, because he hadn't stopped. You know, he's made it back to the pits. He's at the bottom of the timesheets, but he made it back to the pits. So, yeah, just bad luck for Lando, just being in the wrong place at the wrong time, caught the yellow, and, you know, obviously when there's a yellow flag, A, the rule is you have to abort the lap, lift, B, you don't get the use of DRS as well, so, yeah, wrong place at the wrong time for Lando Norris. But you know what? It is something we talked about coming into qualifying. You know, if you leave it until the final lap, and this is going to be the case in Q2 and in Q3, there is a risk where you'll get the a yellow or even a red flag, right? And we've seen this in Baku. So there's a risk versus reward. Going late, the track is faster. It's got more rubber. It's cleaner. But you could end up, like Lando Norris, getting caught out with a yellow flag or even a red flag.
Baku bites, and it's certainly bitten Lando Norris and McLaren out in Q1. But, well, we have to put that to one side for the time being, because we go straight into Q2, well underway. Carlos Sainz already going quick as Charles Leclerc. They're navigating his way uphill through the castle section into the old town. Visibility's already pretty thin on the ground there, making it slightly more difficult for himself.
So committed, wasn't he? Through that left hand of 8, 9, and then up to 10. Just absolutely threading the eye of the needle. Control into turn 15. You don't want to overshoot it, as he did on Friday. Very quick in the middle sector. 41.9. That's a strong middle sector for Charles Leclerc. 41.7 though for his teammate Carlos Sainz. So on this first run, Leclerc seems to be on a used set of tyres, as is Sainz. So both Ferraris on a used set of tyres on this first run of Q2, because they want to make sure they got 2 new sets for Q3, and Leclerc sets the benchmark of a 43.4, some way off what we saw him do in Q1. Yeah, building back up again, but I wonder how much more track evolution we're going to see over the course of this session. It really ramped up. Piastri absolutely flying in sector 1, fastest of anybody in sector 2 as well. Let's see what he can do across the line. So McLaren have gone for a new set of tyres, because as Ted was saying before, they went back out on used tyres at the end of Q1. So Piastri got through Q1 with just 1 set of tyres, and now he's coming up to the timing line and will go fastest on a brand new set, a 42.598. Tell you what though, Sergio Perez is not giving up this one without a fight in Q2. Fastest of anybody in the first sector for the first time in a long time, Bernie. Perez has had the upper hand over his teammates so far this weekend.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Both of them getting through on 1 set from that Q1 session, 1 new set. And as Corinne mentioned with the Ferrari on the used set, also Mercedes on that used set as well. So that's why there's such a gap between those top 2 at the minute. Piastri, the only one of those on new.
Verstappen had a bit of a scrappy run through 16. That entry instability just compromised his exit. I don't know if it's going to affect his final sector. He does go fast. It's a 42.0. That's a strong time from Max Verstappen on a brand new set of tyres. And for a change, this weekend, 2/10 ahead of Sergio Perez.
Perez then, yeah, actually it was all in the middle sector for Max Verstappen, finding a huge chunk of time. What's happened to Oscar Piastri through turn 15?
Went in too hot, just went in a bit hot there, had to carry the understeer through, kiss the tyre on the way out. No real damage there. It's a glancing blow, so he'll get away with it, but it's something that he'll work on for the next run.
And all McLaren's eyes now will be on their sole remaining driver, Oscar Piastri, and all the talk coming into this weekend around, will they let their drivers fight? Can Lando Norris fight for the title? What about the constructors? Well, they've only got one man left in it.
Early. I think the track is starting to plateau.
Okay, so Russell thinks that the evolution that we saw the track then at the end of Q1 starting to even out a bit now in Q2, starting to stabilise. Track temperature's been around 37 degrees, air temperature still about 26, coming up to 27 degrees. So it's kind of been a little bit stable over the course of this session. Lance Stroll trying to find time. Both Aston Martins have continued to kind of being a little bit of no man's land so far, and both vying to get through into Q3. But at the moment, Alonso down in 12th. Stroll, though, personal bests in sector 1 and 2. Well, they would be. That's his first lap time around. So let's see what Stroll has got. He won't have anybody giving him a tow in front because Behrman comes into the pits. So what has Stroll got? 15th and slowest of the runners out there.
So he's, at the moment, what is he, 2.5 tenths behind Alonso. Ted, you've got something for us?
Yeah, pop back into the pits now after just going to see Lando. Oh, I mean, feel so for Lando Norris. It was just luck, wasn't it, Karun? He was absolutely, I thought he was speechless. He was almost speechless, wasn't he? Just getting the luck of Esteban Ocon's yellow flag. And, you know, no wonder that he doesn't really want to think at all about the Grand Prix tomorrow. But Lando is going to need something weird, the intervention of a safety car to put some more points on Max Verstappen's championship lead. So both Verstappen and the Ferraris and everybody else in championship contention or contention for the win has seen what's happened to Lando now and is making sure it won't happen to them. That's why you're seeing the Ferraris on a brand new set out with 7 minutes to go. They know that there's no point thinking about track evolution if just your last run is going to be interrupted potentially by a yellow flag. That's why they're out now, Sainz and Leclerc, on brand new soft tyres.
Yeah, just to pick up on what Ted's saying there, the Ferraris both went out on the U set, then they did a pit stop onto the new set, which obviously Ted missed with the interview in Norris, but they did a pit stop, and from this stage, they should have enough time for a push, cool push to the end, and that's getting them, as Ted said, the laps on the board, and hopefully the track evolution right at the end.
And around the circuit, Bernie, what do you think the difference between the U set to a new set is? Because Sainz at the moment 1.1 away from Verstappen's time.
The difference between a new and a used shouldn't be massive. There's lots more that goes into it in terms of whether you go straight between them, what temperatures you have in the tyre. Something like 2 or 3 tenths, because we've seen therefore Piastri track evolution outweighing the used tyre set, because track evolution was so big in that first session. And just to pick up on something Harry said earlier, in this session track evolution should reduce. It should reduce every session of qualifying we go through, as there's less and less cars running on track, and the track's now already pretty clean.
Thank you very much, Bernie. 6 minutes or so left then of Q2. At the moment, Colapinto, Alonso, Gasly, Tsunoda and Stroll are all in that elimination zone. Carlos Sainz on his run now makes his way through that tight and twisty middle sector. Hasn't had the pace compared to his teammate Charles Leclerc so far this weekend. And Leclerc finding a 10th on Max Verstappen's fastest first sector. So actually it's only slightly quicker is Leclerc than his teammate Sainz in sector 1, so it's fairly nip and tuck between the two Ferrari drivers. Let's see how it beckons over the line for Sainz, who will cross it first. Nice exit.
Yeah. It was a clean run through there, wasn't it? So, yeah, nobody around it, but I mean, literally, there is nobody else on the track apart from the two Ferraris, and they're about half a lap apart from each other. So they've gone early. They don't want to risk getting caught out with that late yellow. And as Bernie was saying, they're going to do a push, give themselves time to do a cool lap and then go again. But at least if they get a yellow on that last lap, they've got this one with a time on the board. So this feels like a sensible approach from Ferrari, not putting themselves at risk of losing out in Q2 with a car that is capable of getting pole position.
Leclerc so quick through that middle sector to the line, then getting up to just over 335 kilometers an hour. Splits the Red Bulls, 14 thousandths of a second between himself and Max Verstappen with, well, into the final 5 minutes. Oscar Piastri biding his time. McLaren, one car left in it. And, well, will they learn from the disaster of Norris from Q1?
So the disadvantage of doing what Ferrari did is on that lap we've just seen, they would have had to carry a bit more fuel, because they fuel the car to do the cool lap and then again the next push. So they're carrying a bit more fuel, whereas Piastri now heading out on a brand new set of tyres. He will only have time for one push lap. So that is very much McLaren's focus, and he is very much McLaren's focus as Lando Norris goes back into the motorhome and watches on television, unfortunately.
I'll tell you what, though, I'm very impressed with Ollie Behrman and Franco Colapinto so far in these qualifying sessions. Behrman actually ahead at the moment of his teammate Hulkenberg. Colapinto, who's within a couple of tenths of Albon.
When will I have someone in front? Come on, we've practiced that all weekend, not to be completely alone in qualifying.
Yeah, he's right. He's not going to have a good tow because Carlos Sainz ahead of him is going to start the lap. But the interesting thing is we need to watch this lap from Ferrari, from Carlos Sainz, because as the other cars are just leaving the pit lane now, there's a chance at the end of this lap, Carlos picks up the perfect tow from someone beginning their next lap. And that would work out really well for Carlos, but maybe not so well for Leclerc.
Well, the only two cars that are not out on track at the moment are the two Red Bulls. Piastri's just come out of the pit lane, so that's too early for Carlos Sainz. So unless one of the Red Bulls decides to come out now, Max Verstappen actually does indeed just venture out now, but still too far ahead for Carlos Sainz to try and pick up a tow. He won't get one, I don't think.
No, but I think he might, because don't forget, he's on a slow out lap, and then he's going to catch
by the end of this lap.
Yeah, so it's at the end. So let's wait and see as this unfolds. But here we see, this is George Russell. So George Russell, 6th at the moment. Lewis Hamilton and the other Mercedes down in 9th. So the Mercedes do need a good lap here. Ollie Behrman, 7th at the moment, which is where he finished in Saudi with his one and only Formula 1 appearance so far for Ferrari.
Sainz has just said on the radio, Leclerc keeps missing the tow, which I presume then they've been trying to orchestrate this, and it's not quite working out for Ferrari. That brings me back to the times they always try and done that in Monza over the years. They're both coming through turn 3 at the moment, so we'll see how that one plays out. But just a couple of minutes left then. George Russell pushing, and has he got people in front of him? Yes, he has. Albon a little bit further ahead.
Yeah, I think Sainz and Leclerc have aborted this lap because they're trying to get a better position for the tow. So we'll see. Russell is pushing on. He's going to get a distant tow maybe from Alex Albon, but let's see. He comes up to turn 5. We'll get the first sector time, about a 10th down. It's quite tricky at the apex of corners like turn 5, I think now, because they painted the inside wall with the black paint, and actually with the shadows we could see here through this bit, and the sun going down. It's quite hard to get that separation between the black tire and the wall, and they're getting so close to it. So it is tricky for the drivers with the low sun. Just over a minute to go here, Harry.
I don't think this is going to work out for Ferrari, to be honest, because they've done this double cool lap. I think largely based on that feedback from Leclerc that they've not got a tow. But if they just stayed with it, I think they could have got it by the end of the lap. And now they're potentially in some very difficult traffic for that first and middle sector on their final push lap.
They're going to end up out of sync, aren't they? Because these cars are pushing on now, and they will be on slow laps when Ferrari want to push. They've ended up out of sync, but they might get away with it because of the time they did on the first push. We'll see. George Russell comes up to the line, and improves slightly, but only 4th fastest, Harry.
But a little bit of a worry, though, because he gets ahead of Carlos Sainz. Albon's just jumped up to 7th. Tsunoda up to 8th. Hulkenberg, Hamilton, Colapinto, Alonso and Stroll all in that bottom 5 as Hamilton crosses the line to put himself only 7th fastest in the Mercedes. What about Oliver Behrman? Can he get through into Q3 in the Haas, replacing Kevin Magnussen, who serves his 1 race ban? We'll see the Dane back in action this time next week in Singapore. But for now, the man who will take that seat full time next season, can he fly through? Franco Colapinto does in the Williams, gets up into 5th. Can Behrman join it? Both in their second Formula 1 weekends. Behrman does just, though, gets up on the periphery in the top 10.
I think that might be it. I don't see anyone improving. So both... Oh, no, Albon has has Albon just jumped ahead of him?
Albon then, no, he's down in turn 6. So it looked like Behrman. I wonder if we'll see what that happened. But Colapinto then with a brilliant result up into 6th.
Alonso's the one who's knocked Behrman out.
Alonso up to 5th, ahead of Colapinto. Sainz down to 7th. Verstappen improving on his lap time. Lost a bit of time in that final sector, but goes fastest and does find time. A 1:42.0. Just trying to see anybody else going quicker out there at the moment. No, I think that'll be that, with Behrman then just missing out on a Q3 entry.
But Behrman ahead of Hulkenberg, Colapinto ahead of Albon. Great,
that's impressive.
Yeah, great effort from both of them. Colapinto, what a lap. 4/10 ahead of Alex Albon. That is a brilliant lap.
I wonder, well, obviously the toe is worth something. I wonder if Colapinto was in the right place there, but he has been showing pace all weekend long. And what a bounce back for Franco Colapinto coming back after that crash on Friday morning. So absolutely brilliant from the Williams driver. Tsunoda knocked out in 12th for a man who's not started outside the top 8 here ever. Will do so for the first time down in 12th, along with Pierre Gasly behind him. Nico Hulkenberg 14th and Lance Stroll down in 15th. And actually for the likes of Hulkenberg, who we know is so quick over a lap. Here's the benchmark when it comes to 1 lap qualifying.
Had to look up.
He's behind this man.
Mate, I'm such an idiot.
Why is that?
I think he said he had a lock-up. I think I just caught the beginning of that. But you know what? Impressive from Alonso to get up into the top 5, where Aston Martin haven't really been anywhere so far this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, the outliers are Alonso and Colapinto, isn't it? You know, they're the 2 in that top 6 that we didn't expect to see up there. And I think if you look at the gap, Stroll a 43.4, Alonso 42.4.
Okay, you're through to Q3. You're through to Q3, mate.
Oh!
Congratulations.
Vamos!
You can hear the elation in Franco Colapinto's voice. He will go through to Q3 for the first time in his Formula 1 career. But out in Q2, Behrman, Tsunoda, Gasly, Nico Hulkenberg and Lance Stroll. qualifying still underway, and we go back to Q1 where Lando Norris was knocked out. So we're just seeing these replays of the Alpine hitting the wall, and then we will have Norris come around the final corner.
That's a white flag,
not a yellow flag.
That's a white flag there,
but it goes back in. Then Norris appears. He runs wide anyway.
But I think we need to see before that there was a panel. Look, there's a green flashing there. So the panel, we need to come in like 5 seconds earlier. We'll see if we can get that. But there's a panel on the entry to turn 16. And we need to be able to see whether that was white or yellow. Because just looking back, I'm trying to see on the, you know, the live timing feed where you see the flags come up. But it doesn't seem to indicate a yellow. So I wonder if it was a white flag rather than a yellow that had come up at that stage.
And you think they've gone a bit too quickly and called it a yellow?
Yeah, maybe, because certainly the one that Marshall was waving was definitely white.
Yeah. It's round the corner we need to see.
Yeah, before that corner we need to be able to see whether it was yellow or not.
Well, that will certainly be one to pick up. It's a good spot, though, Karun, from you. Well done.
Yeah, sorry, I should probably explain that a white flag indicates a slow-moving car. So it's a warning to the other drivers that there's a slow-moving car rather than a car that's stopped. Ted, any more?
I mean, all I can say is, just having spoke to Lando, he was absolutely sure it was yellow. They do have a button on their steering wheel, don't they?
A light.
A light.
Yeah, they have a light.
Sorry, I mean a light. They've certainly got buttons on their steering wheels, but they've got a light. And Lando was under no illusions that it was yellow and it was just his bad luck, rather than it was his bad luck misreading white for yellow. That's all I can add on that.
Okay, thanks, Ted. Thank you very much. Here we go then.
So here we go. He's coming down the hill. Look, there's a panel flashing. I can see the panel flashing, and it's gone off. The panel's off when he arrives there. And there's
no
a white
light
flag.
on the steering wheel.
There's no, I can't. Was it a radio call? That's maybe. Is that why we heard
Joseph say sorry, didn't we?
Yeah.
I don't know the context fully, but there's something not quite adding up there.
You know what this feels like? This feels like a TED notebook investigation for afterwards, as he tries to work this out from McLaren, because that panel was switched off when he got to the entry of 16.
Well, and as a result, Lando Norris, one of the drivers who's made it into Q3 at every qualifying so far this season, knocked out down in 17th. We're just about to get Q3 underway. Indeed, the light at the end of the pit lane goes green. Just a reminder, in Q2, we've lost Oliver Behrman, Yuki Tsunoda in 12th, ahead of Pierre Gasly. Nico Hülkenberg out-qualified by Oliver Behrman. We know how much of a specialist Hülkenberg is over one lap, and Lance Stroll down in 15th. So Behrman still a little bit frustrated to not get into the top 10, but a mighty effort nonetheless. As we head then into the top 10 shootout, the battle for pole position. Red Bull look quick, both cars, Verstappen and Perez. Charles Leclerc, one of the Baku specialists here, pole in the last 3 consecutive years. Don't rule out a fast George Russell either. And can Carlos Sainz, Oscar Piastri throw a spanner in the works? Piastri, the sole remaining McLaren. McLaren, who came into this weekend as favourites, haven't actually been the outright fastest. But if they can keep it neat and tidy, perhaps they can get something out of this qualifying too and find themselves in a decent position for Sunday's race. But now only down to 1 car. Some others to watch out for as well. Look out for the Williams of Franco Colapinto and Alex Albon. Both Williams getting through into Q3 for the first time this season. And Karun, do you think already with Colapinto getting through into Q3 in his second weekend back, that's a justification straight away for James Vowles to bring him in and replace Logan Sargent?
Yeah, you'd have to say so, wouldn't you? I mean, I wasn't 100% sure about changing a driver in the run-up to 2 consecutive street races back-to-back here and Singapore, just because, you know, it's a tough challenge for a rookie coming in. But yeah, I think I have to agree with you straight away. It's justified, hasn't it?
Well, let's have a look down in the pit lane. There is a Williams just edging out. That is Colapinto and Albon, who forced Perez to come to a stop.
But Harry, I watched that, and both Williams were okay on that because they had their wheel over the line, and that's the rule. So Perez was obliged to give the way. I think that's why Woody, his engineer, said sorry about that. But anyway, it is Perez who's last on the road, but busting a hole in front of everybody else. I think I saw George Russell with no toe in front of him. Maybe you can confirm on your driver tracker. But it's George Russell leading out Lewis Hamilton for the Mercedes duo. They'll be first to set a lap.
Indeed, Perez right at the back, as you say. The two Williams have positioned themselves fairly nicely behind each other. Colapinto behind Albon, as George Russell, though, is cutting the hole ahead of him in the air. Nobody in front of him, Bernie, giving him a tow as he embarks on his first flyer of Q3.
No, and I think some of the cars are actually preferring no tow because of that first and second sector. Most notably, I think Perez did a lot better in Q1 with no tow, and then with the tow in Q2, Verstappen was quicker. So interesting to see what they do there. Anyone watching the timing screens will be saying that 4 drivers out there on used sets that only have one single set of softs for this session. That's both Williams, Alonso and Piastri, with only one new set of soft in this session, so his first run is going to be unused. And I think from a timing point of view, there's time in this session to do one single lap on the first set and one single lap on the second, but that's about it.
Thank you very much, Bernie. Okay, well, Russell going well compared to his teammate in the first sector, but Piastri's taken that away, fastest of anybody for the McLaren man. But for Mercedes, for George Russell, he could clinch the season head-to-head in terms of qualifying against Hamilton this afternoon. Currently leads 12-4 in George Russell's favour. Russell, who has had the better of Hamilton in qualifying, who himself said he's been frustrated, doesn't know where the lap time goes for him over one lap this season, especially post Monza. Felt like he could have got pole position, so frustrated with himself. Let's see how he goes in Q3, but Russell flying through the middle sector as well, and now makes his way down that 2.2 kilometre straight. No one in front of him, so he won't be getting the effect of that tow. Hamilton behind him will be getting a distant effect from his teammate ahead as Piastri continues to go well, but now Sainz is the fastest man in the first sector.
Yeah, but Piastri on a used set of tyres has done a very strong middle sector there, 41.09 compared to Leclerc's best of 40.98, only a tenth down on a used set, so that bodes well for when he gets a new set of tyres. Here he is coming up to the timing line, does go fastest ahead of the two Mercedes on a new set of tyres. Leclerc pips him, but only by a couple of tenths.
Nice lap from Piastri, better lap from Charles Leclerc, but what about Carlos Sainz? To the line, makes it a Ferrari 1-2, a couple of tenths himself behind Charles Leclerc. Red Bull, they've refound their mojo, or have they? Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez, both back in action this weekend. What's Verstappen got on his opening gambit? 5th, behind the Mercedes of Russell and the McLaren of Piastri.
Wow, look at that. I mean, not just the position, Harry. Over half a second, 6 tenths. Don't forget, that was a gap in Monza, wasn't it, at the end of qualifying? So that is a huge gap. Let's see what Perez can do. He does slot in ahead of Verstappen, but still only 5th. Oh, 4 tenths down. And crucially, slower than Piastri's time, despite the Red Bulls being on a new set of tyres and Piastri being unused.
Let's see. Did something happen to Verstappen then on that lap?
Oh.
Well, that will cost you a bit of time.
Okay, that explains it. So in the final sector, Verstappen did a 25.35, Perez a 25.06. So 3 tenths was lost by Verstappen in just the last sector. But that would still make him sort of Russell territory. It's not a Leclerc beater, nor is it a Piastri beater. So a Ferrari 1-2, but I am fascinated to see if Oscar Piastri on a brand new set of tyres for the next run can get in amongst those red cars. Bernie, what do you think?
Yeah, I was just having a look through the track condition there to see if there was any big changes that had Verstappen over. There's been a big drop in...
Far behind, am I? So to Leclerc, it's 8.5 tenths.
Come on, guys, get those temperatures up.
Yeah, copy.
And just as Lewis said there, I think that big drop in temperature has dropped 4 or 5 degrees. That's really making a difference to the tyre prep out there, and a lot of complaints about getting those tyres ready for that first lap.
Okay, thanks, Bernie. 5 minutes then left to go. It's the two Ferraris who currently have the advantage. Leclerc a couple of tenths clear of his teammate Carlos Sainz. Further back on the first lap times, Albon a smidge ahead of his teammate Franco Colapinto. Both Williams through into Q3, and Fernando Alonso backing everybody up, rounding out the top 10.
So I wonder what they do here. Do they try and get the cars turned around as quickly as possible and get straight back out so they don't run the risk of a late red flag? That would be the logical thing to me, because we've seen it, haven't we? We've seen drivers getting caught out. I still feel like we haven't heard the full story on the Lando thing. Just, yeah, something tells me there's a bit more to that whole situation, because we just need to get any understanding of the flags there.
Well, as well as that, the thing is, we've not heard the full conversation in the garage. You know, they went out on a used set. We were just debating it here. That debate will have been going on in the garage. Was there a push from one side or the other that it should have been on new? Even with the new set, like with a used set of tyres, you nearly had enough that time. With a new set, you could have had enough through the rest of the lap, but even with the yellow flag at that part of the circuit, you might have been okay. So many conversations.
Okay, we do a quick turnaround because we don't want to be the last car.
Yeah, confirm.
He's listening to you, Karoo. Quick turnaround in the garage, get him straight back out there, get that lap time in time, and don't take any unnecessary risks.
Yeah, and that sounds like a happier, motivated Perez. Look at this. Look at this. They're just dawdling at the end of the pit lane. The Williams has pulled over on the left-hand side, let the two Ferraris pass. So that is Alex Albon.
So Williams still has the airbox fan in.
Oh,
understood.
No.
Oh, what an error.
Disaster for Williams. Albon with still the airbox cooler.
Yeah, well, it's a fan. They put a fan in there to blow air into the airbox. Can he reach it and try and pull it out, or can one of the marshals just pull it out? The mechanics have just spotted it. There they are on television. But I think. Oh, we got a double wave yellow, first of all.
He's right on the edge of the pit lane. He's trying to pull it out.
He's got to do it himself. There we go. Throw it off the side, Alex. Come on. Throw it off the side of the car.
Never seen before, I don't think, in Formula One, as he manages to get it out.
Yeah.
And Albon then...
He's got to lob it off the side.
Big lob, Albon. Come on. Oh, he wants a bit of help from the marshal. He's trying to wave. The crucial thing is the yellow. There's double yellows just on the pit lane when you come around the corner. But no, you know, they could throw a red flag.
That's it. He's got rid of it. There's the dry ice. That's okay. That'll fall off as you drive away. Now he's got to... You can get the engine going. These cars could fire up using the MGUK. Here's a replay. He pulls out. There's the... You could see it there. I'm impressed Piastri saw that. Did he drive past him?
I think because then Albon must have been told on the radio around that point.
Piastri was in front, so Piastri saw it in the mirror.
Ted,
good eyes.
Have you ever seen that before?
It's a massive yellow fan. How could you miss it? How could the mechanics miss it? I can't believe they would make such a mistake down at Williams. Such an experienced bunch of guys and girls. What is going on at Williams operationally? How can you send a car out like that? Anyway, I think operationally they knew that if Albon does just get it out and lob it out the side, that doesn't count as outside interference in the car, and he can continue. I think they're going to get away with it, save their bacon. Alex managing some dexterity with his hands. Such a terrible mistake.
Well, Ted, it has popped up on our timing screen, though, the incident involving Albon, an unsafe release has been noted, and there it pops up on your screen now. Whether that gets elevated to under investigation, we shall see.
He's going to have to crack on to get to the timing line as well. There's not that much time left. He's the only one who's not started. Well, no, the two Red Bulls are about to start, but they'll be fine. Albon is coming through now. He's coming through 14. We can see on the driver tracker here, we know that he needs about 25 seconds for the last sector. I don't think he's going to make it. I think Albon is going to end up maybe 2 or 3 seconds shy of doing this final lap. But let's look at George Russell here, Harry, as he chucks it into turn 15 and drops downhill.
A little bit down on the first sector compared to Leclerc, but for Russell, who has only reached Q3 once in 4 visits so far, well, he's beaten that one, as that incident has been upgraded to unsafe release, will be investigated after the session for Albon. Okay, then, checkered flag is out. Russell to the line then, Who's he got in front of him? Albon will not get his lap time in. He's just down at turn 1 now, so he will not get a chance. Here comes George Russell then. DRS open, no toe in front of him, crosses the line, improves his time, stays 4th. Next across the line, Lewis Hamilton. Can he out-qualify his teammate, or will Russell clinch that battle? No, Russell wins the war when it comes to qualifying head-to-head. Hamilton only down in 7th. The track really not massively improving, but for Oscar Piastri, he gets up into 2nd, splits the Ferraris, and can Charles Leclerc, who's currently on provisional pole, take it by even more of a margin. Sainz secures 3rd. Charles Leclerc, fastest of anybody in the middle sector, comes across the line. Pole for Charles Leclerc, but what about Max Verstappen? What about Sergio Perez, who is fastest of anybody in the 1st sector? Fernando Alonso takes the flag in 8th place. We'll wait for Colapinto as well. Verstappen not doing enough at the moment to try and challenge Charles Leclerc. Perez has lost time in the middle sector. This start-finish straight seems like an age for Verstappen. He crosses the line, he moves up into 5th, but Sergio Perez, what can he do? He crosses the line, it's only 4th for Perez. The Baku specialist for Perez will have to deal with 4th, but for Charles Leclerc, it's another pole around the streets of Baku. The Azerbaijan Grand Prix specialist, Charles Leclerc, in qualifying trim, once again, proves how fast he can go. Pole for Leclerc, ahead of Oscar Piastri. Carlos Sainz in 3rd. Perez out-qualifying his teammate Max Verstappen in 4th. Russell 5th. Then comes Verstappen. Hamilton 7th. Alonso 8th. And Franco Colapinto in his 2nd qualifying of his career. 9th ahead of his teammate Alex Albon with the airbox still in.
And pole position. No chance for anyone else. That was beautiful.
Let's go! Yes. Ah. Nice. Good job, boys.
4 pole positions on the trots around Baku, Karun. He was right. Nobody else could match him.
No, there really was no chance for anyone else. Over 3 tenths. This is Piastri up at turn 15, 3rd gear, left-hander. And a bit of a snap of oversteer there as he came there, the rear of the car coming off the crest. As he touched the wall? Yeah, just a little kiss there. So that would have cost him a fraction of time. He would have had to be a bit tentative on throttle coming out. I don't think it would have been enough to take pole. I don't think that was a 3/10 gap to Leclerc, and Piastri would be pleased to be starting on the front row, splitting the Ferraris. That is a solid result for him.
Yeah, thanks guys. That was probably the messiest lap I've ever done in my life.
Well, it was good enough for the front row. So that tells you there's more potential, and then tomorrow he should be in it. But Charles Leclerc, absolute master of qualifying around here. And actually, Harry, he's got to have a great chance of winning. We saw last weekend, they've got good race pace in Monza. We saw that his tyre management is good in Monza. It's less of an issue around here. And the Ferrari has the straight line speed to defend. So Charles Leclerc will be feeling pretty happy about chasing 2 wins in a row here.
It certainly seems Ferrari have kind of emerged from the bit of the slump they've been in over the last few races, now trying to sort out those problems with bouncing on the floor. Leclerc climbs out of his Ferrari, and, well, we call him a specialist around here. He's brilliant over 1 lap, has yet to convert those pole positions into a win. Could he do it tomorrow? He took his first points here back in 2018, has the most amount of pole positions around this track. He had a brilliant Formula 2 race as well back in 2017, pole and the win on such a tough weekend for him personally. He's strong around Baku, and that is going to tee us up very nicely for the Grand Prix.
Yeah, he's finished on the podium in the last 3 races. I mean, honestly, he's having a brilliant season. He's not been, and he's sort of quietly gone about his business, but he's not been outside the top 3 of the Drivers' World Championships since Saudi, way back in round 2. He's just hovered around in 3rd place in the Drivers' Championship table, 86 points behind Verstappen, but 24 behind Norris, who is starting obviously way down. And tell you what, if Leclerc wins and Norris doesn't get a heap of points, it suddenly becomes pretty close between Leclerc and Norris in the championship.
Well, also, you've got Carlos Sainz up there in 3rd, and we look at the Constructors' Championship as well. It's a 3-way fight, and right now, Ferrari had the advantage going in to the Grand Prix on Sunday with 2 cars in the top 3. Just saw, well, there is the Williams driver of Franco Colapinto, who I'm sure will be grinning from ear to ear, out-qualifying his teammate Alex Albon, although Albon did not get that lap in time with the fan still left in the airbox. There'll be a big investigation with that, but we'll be able to hear from our top 3 with Alex Brundle.
Great lap. You seem to have the car underneath you at Ferrari this weekend. Is that the way it felt to you? Really, really strong performance throughout qualifying.
Yeah, I think we had a solid quali, solid day in general with the 2 cars, and I think we've put ourselves in a very good position for tomorrow. I've never really been 100% hooked up around here in my career. It's a track that I tend to struggle a bit, so to be P3 is a good position for tomorrow, as also my race pace yesterday seemed strong, so all to play for tomorrow.
The track was moving around all over the place underneath you. How difficult was it to keep up with the swift evolution of the track early on and then it tailing off towards the last part of qualifying?
Yeah, definitely. The track was ramping up a lot, and we were getting more and more grip as the track cools down and the sun goes down. So it was all about adapting. I found something going into Q3 that gave me a bit more confidence. Yeah, probably wasn't the best of the build-ups to that Q3 lap, but at least I found something that allowed me to put it into the top 3, which is a decent position for tomorrow.
Was the Ferrari front row available today, or was it Oscar a little bit far away from you?
If I would have been a bit quicker, yes, but it's Baku, and I've never been my best version of myself around here. But I think tomorrow we can be.
Great job. Thanks so much. Oscar, second on the grid, brilliant job. You seem to find a little bit extra into Q3. Where did that come from?
I just got a bit closer to the walls, and on the last lap got a little bit too close. Yeah, just tried to really get the most out of it. You know, this track really rewards commitment. So yeah, the last laps in Q3, you know, I knew I had a lot less to lose. So just try and maximize the car. It was feeling good all the way through. Just didn't maximize it that much in the first part of qualifying, but no, very happy with Q3.
Looking at your race pace, are you going to have the speed to be strong and challenge for the victory tomorrow?
I think from where we're starting, yes. But I think following around here is going to be really tough. We saw yesterday that you know, it was pretty tough once you got behind someone. So hope they can get some clean air, and that would be good. But yeah, we'll see what we can do. I think our race pace is good, but again, the Ferrari is certainly not slow.
And given the qualifying performance, goes without saying you have the green light to go all out for victory tomorrow.
Definitely.
Great stuff. Thank you. Charles Leclerc, mesmerising lap from an evocative win for the team at home in Monza to continuing your amazing run of form in qualifying here. Just talk us through the challenge of setting a lap like that between the walls. It's been so low grip all weekend, but you absolutely nailed it.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's one of my favorite tracks of the season. I really like it. It hasn't been an easy weekend because obviously the crash in FP1, which didn't make me lose confidence. I knew that the pace was there, but obviously you've got to build back up to speed. Then in FP2 we had a problem on a new part we brought on the car, and there was something wrong there, so we lost another half an hour, and then it's laps that you don't really recover. So I was a bit not worried, but I knew that we had to make up some time. But the pace was always there, and then in qualifying until Q3, it was all about trying to stay as far as possible off the walls, and then in that last lap, I went for it a bit more, and the lap time came very nicely. I mean, the car felt really good, and everything felt great, so yeah, it's amazing to be on pole.
You have yourself and Carlos up in the top 3 positions. Is that a benefit strategically moving into tomorrow with 2 Ferraris near the front of the field?
Let's say it's the best we could have hoped for. So yeah, I mean, normally the even side of the grid is a little bit less grip. So first and third is where you want to start, and hopefully we can play a team game tomorrow to win that race. But it's going to be a long race. in the past, we were very strong in qualifying, struggling a bit in the race. This year, we have a stronger race car, so I hope that we can finally make it tomorrow.
More whispering with the tyres, just like in Monza, to take it through to the end of the race, perhaps?
Oh, definitely. I mean, tyre management will be a big thing tomorrow as well. So we've got to do a good job. We've done a really good job in Monza, but yeah, as I said, we have to reset every race as we do, and that's what we did. So tomorrow is another race with other issues, even though tyre degradation is there. It's with different tyres, so you've got to adapt to that, and we'll do our homework tonight to get ready for tomorrow.
Outstanding lap. Congratulations, Charles.
Thank you very much.
Charles Leclerc, 26th career pole position for Charles Leclerc. 2 Ferraris in the top 3 as well, separated by that McLaren of Oscar Piastri, Perez and Russell, the top 5. And it will be a long race tomorrow, 51 laps, predicted to be a one-stop, but we've already seen so many yellows, so many red flags throughout the weekend's running. The likelihood of a safety car is high. What will that add to the Grand Prix on Sunday? But Charles Leclerc will have the best view in the house. Can he finally convert a Baku pole position into a first Baku victory? Yet to do so, as he gets greeted the pole position trophy by the singer J Balvin, and do the obligatory signing. And the 2 Red Bulls, well, Perez out-qualifying Verstappen. Perez up in 4th, Verstappen down in 6th. And I think a word as well, too, for the 2 Williams drivers. Franco Colapinto in 9th. The first Argentine driver to start in the top 10 of a Grand Prix since Carlos Reutemann back in 1982. And yes, we didn't see Albon get that final lap in. We'll keep you up to speed with how that investigation goes, with the fan being left in the airbox of that Williams, and Albon doing a heroic job to get it out himself and chuck it to the inside. But that is it then for qualifying. Charles Leclerc on pole position ahead
Alex,
of
you
Oscar
drove
Piastri.
spectacularly through qualifying. Well done for that. I'm sorry for that incident. We're going to make sure that doesn't happen again.
Yeah, thank you, James. We can fight tomorrow, everyone, so don't stress. We can get points tomorrow.
We win together, we lose together. Simple as that. But we have points on the table tomorrow.
All positives then from Williams, but it will be Leclerc on pole, and alongside him, Oscar Piastri for the Azerbaijan
Every
Grand Prix.
mechanic, you were mega yesterday. I thought we were not going to go out in FP2, and you saved my life putting me out in that session to get confidence back. Thank you for that.
Franco, well done. You've really epitomised what we're all about here, which is pulling together when things get tough. You did a great job of recovering after that incident, and it's really proud to see how you stepped forward across all of this session and these last few sessions. Well done. You can be proud of that.